guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I absolutely love and I'm super excited to share with you, and that is travel. I definitely am a budget traveler. I don't stay in luxurious accommodations. I prefer to go many different places and be able to see many different things instead of just going to one place and having all of the luxuries that could potentially exist there. So in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the tips and tricks that I use to be able to save a lot on travel and therefore be able to explore and visit tons of different places. So the first tip I want to share with you guys is when you travel, obviously the first thing that you're probably going to have to look at is flights. And I encourage you to definitely do your research. So don't only go on one website and check out, for instance, Expedia and then book the first flight that you see. Go to different search engines. That's definitely something that I do. So for instance, I'll check out Expedia, I'll check out Red Tag, I'll check out Kayak as well. And all of those websites will have all kinds of different flights, different routes, different times, different airlines, and sometimes you can even find the same flight on a different website for a totally different price. And by doing your research and checking out all of the different engines, you're definitely going to be able to find deals, and you can honestly save hundreds of dollars on a flight just by doing your research. So I definitely recommend that you check it out and make sure that you're finding the best deal possible. Also, make sure that you're flexible with the airline that you do fly with. If you absolutely love a certain airline and you only want to fly with them just because of the certain perks and amenities that they offer, unfortunately, you probably won't be getting the best price. So it's really, really good to be open-minded with who you fly with. That way you can just jump on a great deal when you see one. Also, when doing your research, make sure that you use an Incognito tab. So for those of you guys who don't actually know what that is, it's a tab basically on Google Chrome that you can use that won't save your past searches. And the reason that that's important is because when you type in something into a search engine, the company will probably be able to read what you've been searching. So for instance, if you want to go to Mexico and you're looking at flights for Mexico for a week without necessarily booking it, they'll increase the price just to create a sense of urgency. Now, if you use the Incognito tab, you won't have that problem because the company or the search engine that you're using won't be able to know that you're actually searching for those flights. And so make sure that you always use an Incognito tab. Another important tip that I have for you is to be flexible with your travel dates and your travel times. Now, I know that that's not always possible for everybody. If you have kids, you might have to travel during the summer. If you work at a certain company, you might not be able to take the time off whenever you want. But when possible, obviously travel off season. And off season will be different depending on where you're traveling to. But for instance, if you're going to Europe, the best times to travel are not during the summer months. So if you're able to travel, for example, in April or early May, in September, those are times where usually the weather is still nice and you're able to actually get really, really discounted fares because the high season is pretty much over and you can still enjoy a great vacation. Also, it's really important to look at the day that you travel. If you're deciding to travel on, let's say, a Sunday or on a Friday, it's likely that the prices of your tickets will be more expensive because that's when a lot of business travel happens. So the best time, I would say, based on my experience, has been to travel midweek. So if you're able to get flights, for instance, on Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll definitely be able to find better deals. Another tip that I think is really, really important, it seems pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of people actually don't think about it, and that's accommodations. And I don't usually stay in hotels when I travel. I try to find apartments, and the way that I do that is through Airbnb. So this isn't sponsored at all. I just really, really like using them, and I've used them multiple times already. And the reason why I like it is because you're able to get an apartment for your whole stay, which will have usually a functional kitchen, a larger bathroom, multiple rooms, so you'll be a lot more comfortable, and also you'll be able to cook a lot of your meals as well, which can definitely be a big expense when you're traveling. And I usually travel with other people like my sister or my cousin, so because of that we split the cost basically of the apartment, and to be honest, it comes out to a lot cheaper than if we were to actually use a hotel. You can also use Hostels. I personally have never used Hostels, so there isn't a website that I can really recommend from experience, but I do know a lot of people that have used them, and it's definitely a great way to cut your accommodation costs. Just make sure that you do your research, check reviews, and that can definitely be a really, really good option for somebody who's looking for budget travel. Another tip that I would have is to use public transportation once you get to your destination. Things like taxis can be extremely expensive. If you want to rent a car, it can be very expensive as well. And using public transportation can be really, really great because it allows you to basically do what the locals do and explore things from a different kind of perspective, which is something that I definitely really like to do when I travel. And you'll be traveling around the city for really cheap. Just make sure you do your research, get a map and figure out where exactly you want to go, ask around, and I can guarantee you that you're going to be able to save a lot of money on transportation. Another tip that I have to save money also while traveling is to cut your food costs. So food is obviously one of the biggest expenses when you're traveling, and I absolutely love going out to eat. When I'm traveling, the cuisine is something that I love to explore because it's part of the culture. So I definitely don't want to miss out on that, and I'm sure you don't want to either. But just be wary of where exactly you're eating. So like I was mentioning previously, certain meals you can definitely have at home. So for example, at the apartment that you're going to be staying at, breakfast is usually something that you can have quickly at your apartment without having to spend dozens of dollars on eating it every day at a restaurant, and then decide, for instance, to go eat out for dinner. So that's definitely something that I recommend that you do in order to cut food costs. And another little tip that I want to add into this is make sure that you choose the places where you eat wisely. So if you're in a very touristy area, it's likely that the food around that area will be a lot more expensive just because it's in a very popular area. So if you're in Italy and you're next to the Trevi Fountain and you decide to go eat at a restaurant there, obviously it's going to be a lot more expensive. Whereas if you decide to walk a couple of blocks back and go to a restaurant there, it's going to be a lot cheaper. You can always Google different kinds of restaurants in the area that you're at, check out the prices, because that's a way that you can definitely save hundreds of dollars during your trip. So those were the tips that I wanted to share with you on how I travel on a budget. If you have any tips, I would love for you to share them with me because it's definitely something that I use very often, and I'd love to learn how to save even more money when I travel. Please make sure to like and subscribe down below because I'd love to have you along. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.